Vitality are looking to take that Lee Sin away themselves. Of course, Skeanz also a very prominent Lee Sin player, and it seems like that there's a lot of contention around some of these strong early game jungle picks.
It definitely does, Vedius, and with the Lee Sin locked in for Skeanz, we'll have to see where Lurox decides to go for his second rotation. I think you have to pick jungle here, and usually we see a support pick as well. Dreams likes things like the Nautilus, but of course that's already been banned away, so maybe we'll see Dreams go to something like the Braum, just to give a little bit of safety for the MF in the bottom lane.
Yeah, quite possibly. It looks like they're going to prioritize going for the Thresh instead, though. I think that this gives you a lot of gank setup in the bot lane. I think it's also something that Dreams just prefers to play if he can. We know that when he's able to set up on those engage-style champions, he's feeling a lot more comfortable. And I think that the core that Schalke have drafted for themselves right now is very well-rounded. Something that Schalke have to bear in mind is that Yuumi is still up and available. When paired with the Ezreal, it's a very strong duo combination. Very safe in the bot lane 2 versus 2 as well, can be difficult to dive. So I would imagine that with the lock-in of the LeBlanc right now for Selfie, Schalke should look to raise the Yuumi on their ban priority list.
I totally agree with you there, Vedi. I actually played a solo queue game this morning against Yuumi Singed bot lane. That is not fun. Just in case anyone wants to play like a little bit of a random bot lane duo, Yuumi Singed. You can't kill them, they heal you, you can proxy farm. It's actually disgusting to play against. Anyway, we'll see that this game, because of course the Ezreal is already locked in. Just wanted to
Are you sure, Medic? Are you confident that we won't see
okay. Let's just remember, neither of these teams are actually playing for anything apart from Pride right now.
I mean, it's true.
Schalke obviously anticipating the Yuumi Singed bottom lane. Get rid of the Yuumi. They don't want to see that played. The Yasuo are banned away from Vitality, so we're not going to see that Yasuo Gragas combo. And now it's just about pinching pools. You know, you want to try and get rid of perhaps some scaling on the side of Schalke, get rid of something like an Azir, which Abbedagge had such a good game on yesterday.
Well, I think Schalke just want to keep pinching the support pool, want to limit the good options. They may consider banning Morgana, depending on if they think the Jack Troll will actually play it. I know Morgana can be quite obnoxious in the Thresh matchup. They may also... Okay, they're going to go for an aggressive AD carry. Oh, okay,
Flex.
So this suggests that Schalke's thinking about Gangplank top lane. Or at least some kind of carry top lane that could be bullied by the Lucian. And of course, Cabochard, Deficio always used to say this, Cabochard was actually the original Lucian top player. He was the first one to actually bring it out. And you can see that respect coming through from Schalke. So that's going to be banned away. We're seeing another Blitzcrank. We have been seeing this crop up. We saw it banned yesterday. We saw it played yesterday. And now we're going to be seeing it picked up again by Jack Troll. The Ezreal... Blitzcrank combo, I can't say I have a huge amount of experience in witnessing, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they're able to do in this 2 versus 2.
I think it's more about the poke and then the threat of a hook than anything else, right? The hook isn't intended as we'll hook someone and then burst them down and kill them.
Sure,
Obviously you can do that, but it's more we poke someone and then the threat of the hook is always there. Little surprised that we haven't seen an Ornn so far in this draft at all.
That's true, that's very true.
But perhaps these two teams have decided, let's go all out on the aggressive. Let's try and make some plays. It's going to be Jayce, was buffed on either 10-4 or 10-5, and is a little bit stronger than he was a while ago.
So, you're right, Jayce did get some buffs. There was a bit of debate around how prevalent he would become in the meta. And to be honest, I'm quite happy that we're not seeing any Ornn. It's nice, obviously both these teams know that a win here won't make a difference in the standings. They, of course, can't qualify for playoffs. So they are picking some element of comfort. Odoamne was a big Jayce player back in the day. When H2K made that big run back in 2016, Jayce was one of Odoamne's big priority picks that often had to be taken away from him because of how prevalent he was on the champion. So cool to see him back on it again. We'll see what he's able to do into the Sion. Cabochard obviously picking the Sion into the matchup, that very tanky, not sustain, but he's very obnoxious to bully out just because of the amount of HP. His actual wave clear is very good, and he's very, very safe. So I think for Vitality, a lot of this game is going to be revolved around the mid-jungle duo, but keep an eye on Jack Troll and his roams. I think the main reason you pair a Blitzcrank up with an Ezreal is because Ezreal is so safe. You can just leave him in the lane by himself. He's quite difficult to dive because of his E. And what you can then do is just allow the Blitzcrank to move around the map, look for picks, look for plays, without having to worry about the Ezreal being in any real threat. So I think you're going to see that support mid-jungle trio roaming around trying to create chaos in this early game and trying to force some skirmishes.
I think that would be really interesting to watch because, of course, early action is what I like to see and what you know, wakes you up on a Saturday afternoon when you've been sitting at home all day. So I'm looking forward to that. I do wonder a little bit about Jack Troll being on a support that can be in multiple places and look for multiple ganks, because he has, well, yesterday when he was playing the Leona, he tried to set up ganks and failed, and thus gave the enemy team quite a few kills. So we'll see if he can rein it back a little bit here. Of course, Blitzcrank gives you a little bit more safety because your engage is more dragging someone towards you rather than diving in yourself.
Yeah, and he's got quite a lot of good targets. If you accidentally hook a Thresh, it's not the end of the world. If you accidentally hook someone like an Ornn, yeah, that's not going to be good for you. But of course, there are no massive frontline tanks on the side of Schalke. They are running the Jayce in the top lane. They will also be running the Corki in the mid. The one thing about Schalke's comp, though, is that it's got a lot of poke. Very good at just keeping at arm's length, throwing a lot of harassment down. This makes them really good at setting up sieges, because when they get into a position where they can threaten the tower, there's going to be a huge amount of threat and damage coming out from the side of Schalke. On top of that, they can actually play quite defensively and not try to overforce things. So they also have a pretty good 1-3-1, and I think that Schalke's comp overall definitely tailored a little bit more towards scaling. But of course, you have to remember that Ezreal in the late game is going to be a massive threat. LeBlanc and a frontline tank of Sion can also be very difficult to deal with. So I think scaling is relatively comparable, but the thing that you always have to bear in mind is Schalke, their ability to play that side lane because of the Corki, because of the Jayce, might be too difficult for Vitality to deal with. So I think like there's a lot going on both comps. There are a lot of different ways in which both teams can play the game. But I think the biggest thing to keep track of in the early game, especially for Vitality, is how much is Skeanz playing around mid lane, and what are they trying to do in terms of finding those early game leads?
Eyes on Skeanz early on. Double teleport on the side of Schalke, Abbedagge and Odoamne running that, sort of leading towards the split pressure that you can get from a Jayce and a Corki, where Comp hasn't got teleport, Selfie's gone for the Ignite, more aggressive in that mid lane, Cabochard has a teleport, but that means that later on in the game, Vitality will need to look for those all-in engages, otherwise they're going to get pushed out in the side lanes.
Yeah, they certainly will. I think getting an early lead is really important for Vitality. You want to set up the LeBlanc to a point where Schalke can't go on side lane, because the thing about LeBlanc is if she's behind, then she obviously gets very easily bullied out, and the threat that she can have on a side lane isn't that big. However, when she's stronger, one of the things you always have to be careful of is, okay, I'm Odoamne, I'm Jayce, I'm trying to push in a bot lane. I'm thinking, yeah, it's cool, I can just clear this wave. No. LeBlanc is going to come over the wall, one-shot you, and then you're going to lose your life before you are able to properly set up the wave. So I think getting the LeBlanc ahead is very important, but it's going to be difficult to do against the likes of a Corki, which is why having the pressure, being able to roam around the map and working specifically with Jack Troll to find these picks, whether it be on the enemy jungler, whether it be roams to top lane, whether it be roams to bot lane, or even trying to catch Abbedagge, is going to be super important for Vitality.
Both junglers started on the top side of the map. Skeanz went straight red into blue, whereas Lurox is doing a full top side clear. We have seen some 3 buffs in the last couple of days, junglers invading for that second buff early on, but I'm not 100% sure that Vitality knew that Lurox was starting top side, though Skeanz deciding he didn't want to see if he could steal away the red buff. Innaxe and Dooms have pushed in the bottom lane, hit that level 2 first, and it's just what you always see in bot lane, assuming the enemy laners are respectful, or that getting level 2 first means is that you maybe get rid of 1 minion or so, but the fight is going to start in the bottom lane as Jackson has hit level 2, good flash, goes in, double flash out of Dreams and Innaxe to get away.
Nice early play there from Vitality. Being able to burn those summoner spells is extremely important, especially in the early game. We already talked about how Vitality is going to be wanting to look for these early game leads. This will enable Selfie to look for early roams to the bot lane and find some big picks. So I like the proactivity, I like the play. Skeanz taking a very aggressive jungle route to get that early level 3 and then look for a very quick gank. He's now going to pick up the bot side Scuttle Crab to provide a little bit more safety for his duo as they have to, as the wave is pushing against them. They're going to have to need that extra bit of security as Lurox is going to continue with his full clear.
We'll see if Skeanz is able to get around some of this vision that's been laid down by Schalke, because as you see there, he was spotted on a ward. There was a ward cleared out by Lurox on the Razor Beaks as well. So Schalke doing an okay job of understanding where Skeanz is on the map early on, but he is going to get double scuttle, which means he'll have an advantage over Lurox.
Yeah, so Skeanz, I'm not quite sure how they got vision of the Gragas, but Vitality definitely knew he was there because they were pinging him out. I'm curious as to whether or
they
not they
placed a ward on Razorbeaks, and then Lurox cleared it out, so...
Okay. So, okay.
They knew
so
he was
they
in
saw
the
him clear
area.
Razorbeaks, they knew he had blue buff, which means that his red must have been up, and the likelihood is he's going to be on Krug. So that then gave Skeanz the information and safety to move up to topside river. Here's the 3-man roam we were talking about. You can see Jack Troll hanging around the mid lane.
X-Flash going in, looking for Abbedagge, but there's the Lantern. Really well timed by Dreams there to make sure that he was coming across to keep his mid laner safe. No summoners burnt there on Abbedagge, and Dreams actually stays around to make sure they can push in this wave properly.
Yeah, I think this is really smart decision making from both Lurox and Dreams, because as you rightly said, the wave is in a bit of an awkward spot. Abbedagge needs that extra bit of safety to make sure that he can push this wave in without being threatened. If he doesn't push it in, the wave will just get frozen against him, and he really doesn't want that to happen. So bringing your support and jungler into the mid lane, make sure that there's no risk of a gank from Skeanz. He was obviously able to get the counter gank so that Jack Troll couldn't find a play, and yeah, Vitality they weren't happy that they weren't able to find a kill, but I think that what Schalke did was obviously very smart and helped keep their mid lane alive.
And you've also, because you're isolating Innaxe a little bit in the bottom lane by making a play like that, there has been a CS lead developed for Comp. Now, some of that's going to be answered here by Innaxe. You know, he's able to farm up this wave and push it in, but Comp has gone back, got himself a Sheen. That tends to be the item support AD carries get, or Ezreals get, when they want to be a little bit more aggressive in lane, deciding they don't want to go tier first and get stacking as soon as possible. So I actually really like this itemization choice from Comp, because it means that we're likely to see more action early on.
For sure. So we haven't talked at all about the top lane. Want to bring attention to the fact
does it matter that much?
Yeah, because I think not many people get to see a Jayce versus Sion top lane matchup.
That's true.
Especially how obnoxious Jayce can be in solo queue. I think that it's really interesting to look at what Cabochard is doing, and maybe it can help people in this match as well. So the first thing you'll notice is Cabo is actually able to get priority in this lane quite comfortably, and he's running the Comet as well. So his primary goal is he's going to land that E onto a minion. That's then going to run through Odoamne, which is going to slow him and apply that extra bit of Comet poke. So as you can see right now, that kind of combo is just going to add that extra bit of harassment. It's going to slow Odoamne, it's going to force him to disengage. Look at how little this poke is doing. You can see that Cabo did a very early base, didn't use his teleport, but actually grabbed himself early health and early armor. So his whole goal is to try and mitigate a lot of the early laning pressure that Jayce likes to put out, and basically it means that this Jayce isn't getting ahead, which is really important, because what we talked about so much for Schalke is they want to have these strong split pushes in a side lane, and obviously once they get that 1-2 item Trinity Force on the mid lane, I mean, you can go a variety of different items. Sometimes we see the tier first item on the Jayces in the top lane, especially if they're going for a split push build. Sometimes we'll see full lethality if they're going for a pure poke build. It looks like from his early pickaxe, he's thinking about the mana mune itemization. But either way, regardless of what direction he does go towards, once they get those items, they'll obviously be a little bit more threatening. But you don't want to allow them to build up early CS leads, which is why I think the Sion is a great pick for mitigating that advantage that Jayce can get.
Dragon taken here, the root's going to land on Abbedagge as Jack Troll's come across. The Selfie's dead before Jack Troll can even get in there. Yeah, diving straight into a machine gun is probably not the best idea there, Selfie.
So that probably wasn't Selfie's plan. I'm going to take a wild guess. This is going to make the matchup very difficult.
You don't say, Vedius.
Yeah, because this is now going to give... I want to see Abbedagge now just rush a Hex Shrinker. Because the moment he gets that, like, this matchup is doomed for LeBlanc. She can't really harass, she can't really trade. He's actually going to go... Okay, so he just wants to rush his Trinity Force. That's fine, like, the earlier you hit that spike, the better. But let's have a look at the replay. Let's see exactly what happens here. So... he's going to land his Q. The first thing is this draws minion aggro, so notice that, right? He's then going to take the full Gatling gun. He's then going to hold onto his W because he doesn't want to get hit by the Q. And he also gets hit by every single rocket from Abbedagge, while also missing his initial W damage onto him as well.
So, I think the really big thing that he was trying to do is, because Jack Troll was coming, he stepped back in front of the minions to land his second chain. And that just gave Abbedagge all the time to use the Gatling gun and just shred him down. Because of course, probably using armor and magic resist when that Gatling gun's going off.
It was probably a communication thing where Selfie was like, or Jack Troll was saying, I'm coming to gank mid, let's look for a play mid. And then while he's so committed to setting that up, Jack Troll then isn't in a position where he can properly follow up, and then obviously Selfie ends up losing his life. Doesn't use flash, doesn't use the ignite, and yeah, gives the early Sheen over to Abbedagge.
Yeah, 500 gold lead now in the mid lane, about 500 for Schalke across the rest of the map. So, Cloud Drake did go down earlier for Vitality, but a Rifthold has been picked up by Schalke to respond. We'll see how anxious they are to use that, because they really don't need to right now. They can just continue with these lanes. No one's really being harassed out too much. I mean, Comp has a slight lead in the bottom lane, which is now the top lane, but nothing too monumental. So Schalke should be very happy with how the game's going so far.
Yeah, Schalke should feel pretty confident, especially after that early kill. They're not going to be super happy about the fact that this Ezreal has a lot of farm, because he's going to be the late game guarantor for the side of Schalke. You have to remember that Ezreal, I think one of the big things to... Ooh, dreams. One of the big things to recognize about Ez is that his scaling is relative to how easy it is to kill him. And when you look at the comp coming out from Schalke, these champs aren't really the best at diving onto a backline and threatening a squishy champion like Ezreal. So once he gets to 2 items of Trinity Force plus Mana Mune, or Muramana, I always get it's Muramana is the upgraded one, because I remember through, you get a Muramana, right? So...
Okay. they were swordsmiths. They were Japanese swordsmiths.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, it's very famous historical Japanese swordsmiths. Manamune, I believe, was the apprentice of Muramana. I might be wrong on that, but I know Manamune was a swordsmith, so that's why it's... this is like,
well, my easy way to remember it is more mana.
You get more mana. Okay.
You get more mana from the upgrade. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
we'll go with that.
The point that I'm trying to make is that once Ezreal gets that, plus the Trinity Force, he's going to be really strong, and he's going to be difficult to kill with the comp that Schalke have. So it's the kind of fallback win condition for Vitality, and because they do have a Sion, a very strong tank, tanks are always valuable in the late game, naturally because of how difficult they become to kill. And one of the easiest ways to deal with a poke comp is to just hard engage, and that's something that Sion is very good at. So I don't think that Vitality is completely out of it yet. Of course, the fact that the LeBlanc is behind is not an ideal situation for Vitality to be in, but again, they're not completely out of options just yet.
I'm just going to correct myself because I know I'm going to have a bunch of tweets coming in. Masamune was the name of the swordsmith.
Masamune.
Yeah, Manamune Masamune. So it was a lineage. Well, no, it was a very famous swordsmith, and now there's like a Masamune swordsmith prize for really good swords. Yeah.
Would you think you'll compete? I know that you
I was
practice
thinking about it. I mean,
at home.
In the time that I've had recently by myself at home, with only my teddy bears to talk to, I have been thinking of picking up a skill. Cross stitch was slightly higher on the menu because, of course, it's like surgery, but perhaps swordsmithing.
Smart.
Yeah,
but see, like, this is the thing. I think that you're more tailored towards going a completely opposite direction, because you went from medicine to casting, two very abstract fields. You could then take another completely 90-degree turn and, go down the blacksmithing route.
But I think the problem is I've been making swords, which are like scalpels, so that's too related, in my opinion. You need something that doesn't relate at all to medicine.
I've just remembered a random fact, by the way. I was watching a YouTube video about katanas, right?
Okay.
You can't actually parry with them. They're extremely fragile.
Yeah, they're really fragile, aren't they? And you have to cut along a specific vector, otherwise they just don't work.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they break super easily. So, like, when you see in films, like, these katana sword battles, apparently that's not realistic at all. Because with a katana, when you strike, that strike needs to kill. Like, it's a one-hit wonder kind of thing.
Oh, Selfie with a good flash there in the mid lane. The hook coming out from Dreams didn't kill. But thankfully, that's not a one-hit wonder. Perhaps we should put that in League of Legends at some point. An ability you can only use once a game.
And then it just instantly kills things?
Yeah.
You think
No, but if you don't land it, it's like a skill shot. If you don't land it, and it doesn't instantly kill, you just don't get to use it again. But if you land it, you can use it again.
I see. So what you're saying is that pro players...
We need Pycult with an instant kill mechanic, okay?
Yeah.
Look, Vedius, you look through my boy. I want Pyke to be buffed, because I'm really bad at it.
It would be great if we could just have Pyke ult all the time, and they don't have to meet a health threshold. Cho'Gath ultimate, just all the time, except it just goes from 100 to 0. Maybe stay away from game design, okay?
I mean, I've heard of some things Ender asks for. I think that's mild in comparison. But back to the game, Schalke still have this 800 gold lead. We have seen the lane swap around. Rifthold is used in the mid lane to get a charge in. That turret's almost down. But Cabochard and Odoamne just continue to trade. It is the Manamune build. for Odoamne, as we expected after he got that pickup.
So, yeah, when we look at some of the items, you can see the Luden's Echo is now done for Selfie. That's a pretty big pickup, but he's a level behind Abbedagge, which means that, again, he's still not going to have that threat. We can also see the Manamune being picked up for Comp 2. He's got a Sheen, he's going to be working towards that Trinity Force, and a lot of armor being picked up for Cabochard. I think that getting the armor boots is extremely valuable, especially against all three of the champions in Misfortune, Corki, and Jayce, because they rely so much on their auto attacks. So I think that's a smart pickup and something to bear in mind when playing against AD heavy comps. And yeah, I think that right now the game is like in a fairly neutral position, but the thing that Vitality have to be concerned about is Schalke is getting much closer to that mid-game point where they can start splitting up the map more, playing through the side lanes, and it will get harder for Vitality to control that space. They need to be trying to force these fights the moment that Trinity Force is done for comp, when they should start to feel stronger with the LeBlanc on one item, and where Sion is still relatively tanky without any strong shredding tools outside of the Gatling gun maybe on Abbedagge, but again, you don't expect him to have many points in that this early on into the game. So I would say that with few shredding tools, Tank's very valuable, especially at this point in the game, and Vitality should look to try and force something. Not right now, but in the near future.
Well, we have seen Jacktroll and Skeanz trying to team up, get through the jungle, get catches on people. Of course, quite hard to catch Abbedagge in a side lane because he always has the Valkyrie. He's still got his flash. In fact, everyone on Schalke has flash at the moment. So even if Jacktroll finds a good engage, expect someone to get away. He's going to step forward here. Yep, he's going to die. The hook comes out. Cast is used as well. He goes down, but so does Jacktroll. Now the chase is on for Skeanz. He flashes away and will retreat behind his tower. 1 for 1, both the supports die.
Yep, Skeanz does lose his flash for that, but honestly, Jacktroll was just in a bit of an awkward position. He could see the barrel in front of him. I'm not quite sure why he got hit by it. I don't know if he was expecting it to go off a little bit earlier and accidentally stepped up, but he took a huge chunk of damage. He then kind of zoned himself because of the slow that applied from the Q. Oh, so we'll get to have a quick look at it now. Let's have a look here. So the barrel will come out from Lurox. He sees it, right? So he's standing on the edge.
Yeah, he just walks back
into it. Yeah, and then he just walks into it, okay. And then, so this slows him. Then he realizes that Thresh is bad, so he has to get him hooked. And again, the right side here is that Skeanz and Comp are able to do enough damage to find a kill, but Skeanz unfortunately has to use his flash. So, yeah, a bit of a misplay there from Jacktroll. Ends up giving away a kill that he didn't need to give over. And
the only thing I'd like to see... Sorry. The only thing I'd like to see, Vedi, there is the vision toggle, because I wonder if Vitality thought, well, we've got Skeanz coming, we can look for a 2v3 with Jacktroll baiting just a little bit. Good flash forward there with a knock-up. Abbedagge is going to go down. That's what you want to see from Jacktroll and Skeanz. Good teaming up there from the Vitality jungler support.
Yeah, we in an ideal world for Vitality, they wanted to be making these plays a little bit earlier into the game. But better late than never. They get themselves another kill onto Skeanz. They should be able to convert this into a Rift Herald as well. And they're going to want to use this to break down the mid lane tower specifically. With that gone, you give a lot more freedom to the LeBlanc, because she can then start utilizing the fog of war that's created in the enemy jungle with your good pressure. So you push in mid lane, you move into enemy jungle with your jungler, you get down some control wards, and then that part of the map becomes a lot scarier, because no one wants to face check that LeBlanc because you're going to get one shot. So all Vitality now need to do is use that to break down this mid tier 1.
If that's what they do, I totally agree with you, Vedi. Yeah, I mean, it's possible it's not what they do, but you hope that they will do it, especially with Abbedagge not having flash. Like, he's a key point on Schalke's team where you can say, well, we know we can catch him out. If Selfie's able to get some vision control and catch him on a rotation or catch him as he tries to get back to lane, it's actually a really good position for Vitality. But you do need that Selfie clock ticking over, because otherwise you feel that Vitality will fall behind as the game goes on.
Again, they do still have some late game options, but you know, you compare it to like Corki in the late game, Gragas in the late game, like these champions are very difficult to deal with, especially with the amount of poke that they have. Trinity Force is now done for the Corki as well, the Drake is up and available. I think this could be a big point of contention. Cabochard does have the teleport. I want to see him either push out this lane and reset to spend his gold, or just start roaming down now. Actually, I think his focus is going to be on taking down that tower. Honestly, I expected Schalke to commit a little bit harder to that Infernal Drake. I thought they were in a good position to set up for it, but the Corki actually went down bot lane to catch the rage. He's now reset. This is giving Vitality the opportunity to push in mid, secure the tower that we wanted to see them take, and now look at what they're going to be doing in the enemy jungle. Look at all this vision that they've set up. This is really scary for Schalke now, because LeBlanc could be in there, Blitzcrank could be in there, and if you face check these champions, you're going to get picked off, which is what Vitality wants to look for.
Oh, Jack Troll. Yeah, he tried to hide behind him, but he gets caught out. Unfortunately, behind him, though, Cabochard is about to throw the fade. Damage coming out on the top line. Selfie having to jump away. It's a good flank, but Selfie's already chunked out. He's trying to block up. Comp's going to go down as well as Schalke get another kill. Not sure how Comp was brought out from Cabochard. All on his lonesome is going to get chunked out as well. Good stuff there from Schalke. It felt like a good flank. Vitality still looking for something as Selfie lands a chain, but not going to be able to do too. Oh, he's dead. Okay.
He is dead.
Yeah, that looked like it was. It looked like it was okay for Vitality. And
yes.
Schalke just said no.
Yeah, I thought the setup was good, but the key thing is the trinket. So when the replay comes up, I want to highlight how this trinket gave Schalke the information they didn't have to be afraid. So the moment they drop the, well, they get this controlled, but the reason why they're able to walk up here is because they see Vitality start off the break, which means that must mean Vitality's not in the enemy jungle. This means there's nothing we have to be afraid of, so they can just collapse in the river and force a fight, and they have a numbers advantage. So they find the initial pick onto Blitzcrank, they zone Selfie out of the fight, and then Comp just gets one shot, not even an opportunity to use his flash. Meanwhile, Cabochard thinks he's found himself a great flank, but then he ends up getting dropped off because he's in a 1 versus 5, and the coordination just wasn't there for Vitality. I think they started the Drake just a little too early. The priority should have been looking for a pick instead, rather than actually looking to try and force a fight. And instead they end up getting collapsed upon. Schalke walk away the victors, and now they've been able to balloon their goal lead to about 3k.
And it's those sort of mistakes that have plagued Vitality this split, right? You can see what they want to do, but it feels more like 5 solo queue players than a coordinated team at times. Schalke have stepped up week to week. Yesterday, obviously, we saw them beat Misfits. Here, they capitalize on a mistake made by Vitality. And now they have total control of the game. Trinity Force finished. Mana Mune has stacked up fully to the Mura mana. And the Hex Drinker's there for Abbedagge as well. So it's going to be very hard for Vitality to find a target on the Schalke lineup.
Yes, correct.
Thanks.
Great assessment.
Oh, Selfie's going to jump in.
Selfie's not.
Yeah. It's like, hey, he did jump in, so that bit was correct. He then realized his mistake very rapidly and actually might die here to Abbedagge. Phosphorus Bomb comes out, that's only the clone that he's taken out, but Selfie has to jump away once again. Just doesn't want any of that action. This
matchup gets really sad when the Hex Drinker plus Trinity Force is complete, because LeBlanc can't really do anything. You always get out-traded. You can easily get chased down because he has the Valkyrie to run you down as well. So usually the Corki won't kill you, but he definitely won't lose to you, which is why Corki is usually such a good pick into LeBlanc. Yeah, and then Schalke is going to convert this into another tower. The Baron is alive. I think doing it right now would be very risky, but it's something that they can start setting up for. They don't need to, because of course they can keep playing on side lanes. Look at Odoamne's build. Going for the Black Cleaver second helps him with the armor shred, especially against a big tank like Cabochard. This is going to make him much stronger in the 1v1 on the side lane. And now Schalke can start doing what we pretty much talked about throughout this game, which is start playing to the side lanes, play the 1-3-1, start splitting up the map and going for these early skirmishes. And if Vitality try to answer one of the side lane pressures, then Schalke can use the pressure that they have elsewhere on the map to push in and trade for objectives.
It's going to be a long road for Vitality to get back on into this one. Jackdaw looking for a flank here as the vision control is there for Vitality in this blue side jungle. But as we have a moment's pause, Vedius, I know that you wanted to talk about something before we came into this cast. Is this a good moment to talk about it? Is this a good moment to talk about it?
Yeah. Wait, hang on. Is Vitality setting up around Baron? I just want to see what they're doing.
Walking past Baron.
Okay. No, they had really good vision setup, so I thought that they might actually try to start it. Yeah, so as we kind of enter a bit of like a neutral farming state, something that I was thinking a lot about this morning was how to effectively use a toaster.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people don't appreciate how challenging a toaster can be to use, right? So the reason why I bring this up is for lunch today, I made beans on toast, right?
Okay.
And you know the toaster has numbers as a dial, which you can set to the
timer.
No, that's not... Wait.
It's a timer, Vedius.
Are you sure it's a timer?
I'm 100% sure it's a timer.
Okay, well, listen, we can have that debate in a second, okay?
I mean, I don't think... Unless you have, like, on most conventional toasters, that's a timer for how long until it pops up.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I thought it was the heat. I thought the level of heat is what was produced there. Because, the reason why I wanted to bring this up, right? The reason why I wanted to bring this up is because normally I like my toast like a golden brown, right? You know,
Yeah,
I like basically
toast colored.
Yeah, well, I basically like warm bread, like golden.
Oh no, okay, that's
bread,
not golden brown then. That's beige. Beige at best.
Beige then, beige, whatever, right? Point is, I don't like really crunchy toast. I like a little crunchy, right? A little crunchy, right? So that means that what I'll do is I normally want the timer on a 3, but the first time you put the toast in, you actually want to set it to a 4.
Yeah, because it has to warm up.
Because it has to warm up, and I think this is the crucial thing that people forget, Medic. And this is the thing I really wanted to draw attention to, because so many people just go in at a 3 for the first time, and the 3 is too low.
He's engaging Jack trying to get away.
He's the kind of guy that puts a 3 on his toaster, right? And this is what I'm saying,
that's
like,
the
just
issue.
think ahead, right? Because you need time for the toaster to warm up, okay? And then, but that's the crucial thing, then when you put the next piece of toast in, you drop it down to the 3. Right, and that, like, I think like more guys need to be out there on how to use a toaster, because it's taken me like over 20 years to really optimize this process, and I think too much toast has been damaged as a result.
So you know how we talked about Masamune and Muramune and the idea behind these great blacksmiths who kind of revolutionized their craft?
Yeah.
Do you think there's going to be a league item called like Breadamune and it's named after Vedius? And you're gonna have like honed the craft of making bread.
I mean, I prefer it as a champion, you know.
I mean,
like,
it's kind of
the mighty bread maker.
The call of millennials, isn't it? You know, we say, let's get this bread.
The call of millennials.
Let's get this bread. Let's yeet this wheat. Let's grow this dough. Breadius, the master bread maker. It's not bread though; it's toast. It's
we're not
toastius,
making
my
bread
mistake.
because that's different. Yeah,
You can't make bread; you can make toast only.
Yeah, because that you've got you need an oven for that, and that's like a whole tier above toasters. Okay, like maybe even 2 tiers. If you expect millennials to be able to use an oven, like,
yeah, very difficult. Very difficult.
Anyway, let's recap the state of the game. Like, that tangent went on way too long. The Infernal Drake did go down. Both teams could be setting up for the Baron, but right now they don't need to. You can see that Odoamne has pushed in bot lane. He has a 2-level advantage. He's using his prior bot to rotate up to mid. They have the pressure on top lane as well. Now they can look for a collapse onto the mid lane group of Vitality. They're very strong. The double level 16s coming out from Schalke. They should feel ready to force a fight. Vitality wants to be first.
Cabochard coming in. Schalke splits. 2 sides of it. There's a hint of movement as bullet time comes out and Jackdaw's already dead. Skeanz down to half HP. His Dream falls low as well. Odoamne trying to get into the fight. And already Cabochard on the front line is getting chunked out. He's going to fall in just a second if Abbedagge can get that final rocket in, but he can't quite land it. Selfie goes down. Comp getting chased out by Abbedagge in his 4v3 now. Skeanz jumps forward. A great kick from him into the True Shot barrage, but it's not enough. Vitality lose 3 and only get 1 kill on Schalke.
So Vitality wanted to try and make the play happen first. Unfortunately, it was just kind of like a 1-by-1 situation where Schalke was in such a good position that every time Schalke, or Vitality rather, tried to force that engage onto Schalke, they were just losing each member that tried to start off the fight. So Schalke, great patience, great execution. I love the positioning from Innaxe at the back of the fight as well to allow for a really good bullet time, and it basically meant that Vitality had no options, had no ways of being able to find a successful fight. So Schalke are going to balloon the gold lead even more, and we're going to have another quick look at this fight again. So keep your eyes on Jackdaw. They have the ward just behind them. You can see it in the middle of the lane to set up for the flank. Jackdaw takes a huge amount of poke. Innaxe positions behind Dreams, who then body blocks. Notice the positioning of that ultimate from Dream acts as such a fantastic zoning tool, so they can't threaten Innaxe at all. He's free to get off that great bullet time, as Odoamne is just kind of looking for any target at the back of the fight to kind of pick off. Selfie then realizes that there's no escape for him, so he ends up dropping as well. And while Skeanz tries to get a good pick-off, or kick-off rather, Lurox is able to find that kill. So well fought from the side of Schalke as they continue to press their advantage.
Yeah, right now, Odoamne in the side lane is pretty devastating to deal with. I do want to say my phone, I forgot to put it on silent, it went off. Apparently only on 1 in 4 toasters is it a timer, so you were correct.
Oh,
it's a
thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. I knew it. See? Yeah. You doubted Toastius, man. You doubted Toastius.
Yeah, exactly. This is why you need to write your memoirs. Toastius, the explanation of optimal bread.
Wait, but surely that would be Explainius who explains that. I think you need to focus on which character is responsible for what here. Maybe
and then Biographius would write the book.
yeah.
Shakespeareus would turn it into a play.
Yeah. Or
Spielbergius would make it into a movie.
poem or a play.
Well, if it's a sonnet, it depends. Like, I mean, he did both. Da Vincius painted the painting. Anyway.
In a little cathedral? Would he do that?
In a little cathedral, Vedius, not a big church. Very different.
Alright, so the next Drake is going to spawn in 45 seconds. This is obviously going to be the objective that Schalke's looking for. Notice how Schalke have not started the Baron once, right? This is smart play from them because they recognize that they don't actually have anyone who can just straight up tank the Baron without taking a huge amount of damage. I think they could still take it pretty quickly, but again, their primary win condition is just playing through the side lanes. So the best case for them is focus on the Drakes, which are an easier objective to take and play around. Keep finding these successful fights and don't bother gambling the Baron until it's safe. I think that trying to overforce this objective could have been an easy way to allow Vitality to get back into the game, and Schalke just not giving them that.
If a fight happens, we're going to talk about the fight, but producers have just pinged me, Vedius. And I need to read something to you. I'm gonna see if this
Wait, a fight's about to start.
Oh, hook lands on the fake selfie. Is that catfishing if it's a fake selfie? Pretty sure it is.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
Looking for the hook. Here, that's the Cabochard. Odoamne's gonna fake selfie on the side. Lands it there for Odo to get out. Dragon's gonna go down. That is the soul across here. I'm just gonna read this to you. The timing is all down to the toaster's bimetallic strip, two pieces of metal which heat up and expand so it begins to curl under the stress. The purpose of the dial is to dictate how far it can curve before the toast is ejected. So technically, it is both a measure of heat and time.
Oh, interesting. So the producer sent us that.
So Depper, who is organising the show, who is making everything fun, messaged that to me during the game. Gotta give the guy credit.
Yeah, credit to him. That's multitasking at its finest. Truly caring about the product, making sure that we get the most pivotal toaster information to the public at all costs. So, Merrick, if you would wouldn't mind, could you please again reinstate what the timer truly indicates on a toaster for our fans?
Okay, so the timer itself indicates. Yeah, so the timing is down to a bimetallic strip in a toaster. The two pieces of metal heat up and expand and then curl under the stress, right?
Okay.
The dial indicates how far that bimetallic strip can curl before the toast is ejected. So it's the heating up of the strip to a certain curvature and then bouncing out or being ejected by the toast. So it's technically a timer, but also a measure of how much heat has gone through that bimetallic strip.
That's interesting. That's interesting. It's a shame that it doesn't just tell me how burnt my toast is going to be. Anyway, a fight is happening in the bot lane.
Jackdaw misses the hook. He lands his ultimate. The Odoamne is going to go down as well. 1-for-1 so far. Selfie and Skeanz are forced off to the bottom side of this fight. Lurox goes low, but he's got Sion just to keep him alive. Cabochard in the bush. Yeah, that's not the easiest place to get out of. Sadly, a sign is a little bit too large to dodge in that hook. Selfie jumps in, he dies. Dream's going to go down as well. I think the Ignite is ticking on him. Not quite enough damage. Dream survives now. Schalke will push in 4 members strong against the 2 surviving players from Vitality. This has been pretty much a dominant game from Schalke. Vitality tried early on, but ever since Schalke got towards the 2 items on Corki, 2 items on the Jayce, it's been pretty difficult for Vitality to do anything about it.
Yeah, pretty much. Vitality in the other game couldn't find any successful picks. They also, dying 1v1 in the mid lane was definitely very detrimental to Vitality's primary early game win conditions. You can also see here a collapse trying to come out towards one of the side lanes. This is something that, you have to kind of try against split push comps, because if you just leave them to their own devices, they're just going to take away your whole base. But Schalke was in a position to be able to collapse. So the rest of Vitality end up dropping, because obviously they're weaker at this point in the game. And really like what Dreams ends up doing. He's able to get the flay off, right? He then levels up after finding that kill. Is able to land the lantern onto himself, which gives him a shield big enough to protect him from the Ignite. So an element of luck, an element of skill, all coming together to enable Dreams to survive. So, great stuff from him. You're right to hit me with
Frost just tweeted at us and said, "You morons, my toaster doesn't go to 20 minutes, it's heat, not time."
I mean, that's what I think. I always thought.
Okay, I want to say, an egg timer doesn't go to 20 minutes either, but that is still time. Like,
Yeah.
because it doesn't have a large enough size to go to whatever time you want. A clock doesn't go above 24 hours, but it still measures time. Anyway, I actually heard Foscurin in the background.
Yeah.
Anyway, Schalke at the Baron, setting up. They've got total control of this because Odo can just push in a side lane. He's got teleport. He's being matched by Cabochard, who has teleport, but this should be pretty easy for Schalke. There's the 1-3-1 that we talked about, Abbedagge in the top lane.
I mean, at this point, Schalke should just be able to end the game, right? Like, they are so overwhelmingly ahead. Like, there's you know, playing it safe, playing it cautiously, and then I think there's too much respect. And I think Schalke right now are showing a little too much respect to Vitality because they are honestly they're so insanely strong. That Jayce is level 18 and has 4 items. And the longer that you draw the game out, the harder it actually gets to end because obviously the enemy team also then gets levels and they also get gold. So
I mean, yeah, comps at 4 items as well, right? Like
the thing is, right? Like they should
safe, and he can really dominate a fight.
Schalke should start playing through 2 lanes now rather than 3 because bot lane is constantly pushing, and all they need to do is if they keep pressure on 2 points, that bot lane will inevitably push, which means that you will always have numbers advantage unless this happens.
Being caught out, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, teleport's coming in by Cabochard as well. Selfie's being called out by himself. He's going to go down 1-for-1 trade so far as Jackdaw looks for Odoamne. Lurox is there. The rest of Vitality trying to meet up with Cabochard, who's kind of a little bit on his lonesome, but look at the damage coming out from the shot blast. Lurox pops his stopwatch. Odoamne's going to get chunked out by the true shot barrage as Comp jumps forward. Cabochard, that was a face plant. I feel that was what he meant to do. Decimator Smash is going to hit again, but Comp takes a bit of damage from the shot blast. And Cabochard will fall. Hex Flash used by Jackdaw to get to safety, but Vitality with super minions pushing on the Nexus now should at least be able to either take the Baron or take another inhibitor.
Who are they going to have to? I mean, they should be able to. They should be able to. Of course,
they've got
Skeanz is still alive.
carries here, basically.
Yes, they do. Right, they're starting off with that. Where's Skeanz now? He's stuck bot lane. He's not going to be able to get there in time. Schalke securing the Baron. They should be more. Of course, the Elder Dragon. They're probably going to want to get that as well. So
you sound kind of disappointed by that, Vedius.
Well, because I was like, we can't keep talking about Toast, Medic. Like, we've talked about Toast too much, and I'm like, I'm running out of topics, I'll be honest. Like, next game, I had some more owl facts prepared, but I don't want to use them now, because I'm like, we gotta save that material for later. I was like, well, I'm hoping they're in the game soon, because if we keep talking about Toast, I'm gonna get a written report, and be like,
yeah, here's the problem, Vedius.
Right,
you've now enlightened the audience that you prep some of this stuff beforehand. They were giving us leeway because they're like, oh, they're just making it up on the fly, you know? But no, apparently, okay. Selfie.
I mean, if you think we prepared this conversation in advance, you're giving us far too much credit.
Far too little. Abbedagge here knows the Vitality in the book. Okay. Skeanz from a screen away has taken all of his health.
That's so much damage. Do you see what I mean?
They didn't need the Elder Drake.
They didn't need the Elder Drake. I mean, they had Infernal Soul. Anyway, they should be looking to end the game now.
They're doing it through 2 waves. Innaxe has caught the wave.
That's fine.
Odoamne's going to try and trade against Cabochard here. Yeah, Cabochard, you don't do any damage, I'm afraid. But you can.
He doesn't die, though.
Jet set your way back to base.
Well,
I think that's the biggest nope I'm out of here in League. Like, nope. Anyway, Schalke are going to get to 5 wins. Good victory over Vitality. Good win eliminated. Schalke will take some solace out of the fact that this was pretty much a demolition from about the 15-minute mark.
Yeah, I mean, like, Schalke had a very clean game overall, taking their time. A bit of a long one in the end, I think they showed a little bit too much respect towards the end, but it doesn't matter. They found the win, that's what matters, and of course, both of these teams are knocked out of playoff contention, which means that this game didn't have a huge amount of stakes behind it. I think a large part of it was they want to take the game seriously to showcase what they were capable of, and I think that we got to see a little bit more from Abbedagge once again. Overall, I think he's had a great weekend, which is definitely great for him. I know that he's had a pretty challenging split. We can see, like, we've seen some very mixed performances from him, like, from week to week, and I think that this week, especially in the, we've been kind of, like, joking about how Schalke's been playing almost in their scrim mode, because they are playing from home, obviously. It does seem like that both Abbedagge and Lurox are playing at a much higher level and a higher quality than what we've seen so far. So impressive stuff from them, and we'll see if they can continue that level of performance moving into week 9 next week.
And both Abbedagge and Lurox are in your Kia Player of the Game votes alongside Odoamne. It's actually Schalke's first 2-0 week of 2020. And if you want to get involved in the voting, go on over to @LEC on Twitter and make sure you cast your vote.